Good morning, everybody, and a very, very warm welcome to you to this Entrepreneur of the Decade exhibition and celebration. We are celebrating today talent, perseverance, growth, and sustainability of a group of people who've been part of a program run by the Ilembe Chamber of Commerce. And we're delighted to have this occasion today and to have you joining us. So, the Entrepreneur Program, the Ilembe Chamber of Commerce initiative, as you know, and you would have noticed, there's been a propeller circling in the background, and even in the bottom of your screen, you will see the logo for the Entrepreneur Program, and that is an aeroplane and a propeller, because what we're trying to do, what the Entrepreneur Program tries to do, is select businesses that are keen to develop and grow, to select entrepreneurs who want a hand, and we will take their business to new heights. That's the idea. So we're celebrating today the top guns, the top pilots of that initiative that has taken place over the last 10 years. So welcome to the Entrepreneur Top Gun exhibition and celebration. The initiative has been initiated and is part of the Ilembe Chamber of Commerce. If I may just say a few words about the Ilembe Chamber of Commerce, also began about 10 years ago or so on, and has been an extremely important force for growth in the Ilembe region and the north coast of KZN area. A lot of work has been put into this program and many other programs. So those of you who might be watching and who might be considering membership of the Ilembe Chamber, if you are not already members, please look at that very seriously. Being part of the Ilembe Chamber is being part of a support group. It's being part of insights into business in that region, and it can only be a very positive thing for your own business. Mr. Kobus Olofse is the CEO who joined the chamber on a full-time basis in 2015, and Kobus has really inspired and guided this program through its growing phases, its birthing phases, and its developing phases. So please become part of the Ilembe Chamber of Commerce if you aren't already part of it. Of course, it takes a lot of people. As they say, it takes a village. Well, it takes more than a village. It takes a town, it takes a city, it takes a nation to build the economy. And it certainly takes a lot of people to simply be involved in programs of this kind. They do not run with one person. They might be inspired by one person, but they begin to run and grow with a lot of other people. Partners who have been involved in the Entrepreneur Program are the AXA Airports Company of South Africa, Caesar Water, NG Pickers Operations, Enterprise Ilembe, and the North Coast Courier at various levels of support. Some of this is marketing support or advertising support. Some of it is governmental support. Some of it is financial support. And these partners play an extraordinarily important part in the program and have done in its growth over the last 10 years. If we look at AXA, the Airports Company of South Africa, we're most grateful to them, and particularly to our own King Shaka International Airport, just down the road in that particular region, who have walked this road for some time with us. If we look at Caesar Water, who of course play a very, very significant role in the Ilembe region by delivering services, quality water, again, they have played an important role. We look at NG Pickers Operations. They are a power plant operation and maintenance company, and they have helped empower this program as well. Enterprise Ilembe, which is a very significant part of the Ilembe District Municipality, providing development and advice and local enterprise into that region, also very important. And then, of course, the North Coast Courier and the Wordsmith Group, Wordsmith Marketing, the Wordsmith Group, who've also been part of the program for some time. So we want to say a really big thank you to those partners who've helped this Entrepreneur Program take off and fly and become the success it has become. Of course, the real people behind the whole thing, obviously, are the entrepreneurs. These are small businesses or single individuals who might apply to be part of this program, are selected on the basis of their application, and then become part of a training program where they will learn and grow and develop and be mentored in the growth and sustainability of their business. So we're delighted to have those entrepreneurs with us this morning from the program in general, and obviously particularly the entrepreneurs of the decade. But I don't want to talk too much about that. I think they should talk for themselves. We often speak about this kind of business being a horse and a jockey. You've got the business and you've got the person running the business. You've got the dreamer, the inspiration, the motivator behind the business. So it's a horse and a jockey situation. So while we might normally hear from the horse's mouth, I'd like to invite you now to get it straight from the jockeys' mouths.
This year is year 10 of the competition, and they're doing a celebratory anniversary edition. They've chosen 20 of us, and I'm so grateful to be one of them. And we've done these awesome masterclasses with Gibbs, and obviously we're doing marketing videos and a virtual exhibition. So the chamber is really, really great with giving small businesses exposure and also helping us build our skills.
Ilembe has helped me there. I know how to market my business. I know how to look after finance. I know the big thing, how to look after your customers, because today's customers, today's orders are tomorrow business.
You know, I've been in Stanger for 28 years now, and each and every one of them, they have a place somewhere, there's a place in my heart for them. So absolutely very grateful to our customers. They are our friends, they are our family.
We've learned so much, and we've learned how to market ourselves, and we've learned how to brand ourselves as well.
I entered the Entrepreneur of the Year competition in 2015 and came second, and that really helped us move the business forward.
I would just like to thank Ilembe actually for helping businesses like mine. They do a lot of work and encourage us.
I hold degrees in microbiology and cellular biology, and I couple my science background with my passion for pets and their nutritional needs to be able to extend your pet's life naturally.
At Leanco Addiction Physiotherapy, we don't only look at the patient, but we look at the whole picture.
I remember at a time when I started this business, I was taking the toolbox on my head, going to the taxi to go to the client and do the job, then I come back. Then slowly, then I bought the van, then I start slow, until now. It was hard, but even now it's hard, but I'm trying.
If you have a passion and you have the tenacity and you have the willpower and the strength to continue, because there are downtimes, plenty downtimes. As an entrepreneur, it's not easy. But you just got to bite the bullet to keep going.
I think we businesses would have never made it without the support that we've received from these organizations like the CEDARS and especially the Supply Development Program, and of course the Ilembe Chamber, that really took action to make sure that the local business did not fail during this COVID lockdown.
For now, we are trying to stay alive. And we will start marketing again, and obviously we are trying to stay as green as possible and protect the environment and grow and employ more people.
I think for me, where I am right now is I'm super chuffed that I've got a store that is 7 days a week and that we employ amazing women.
The Ilembe Chambers of Commerce has also been very helpful on my entrepreneurial journey.
like they say, they take you to new heights. Even the logo they did exactly that. They took me to new heights.
Thank you very much for that, and great congratulations to all the entrepreneurs. I believe we have some of the entrepreneurs of the decade with us, so could we have a quick look at them? Maybe they could be brought up on the screen. Aha, so give us a wave, guys. It's very good to see you there. Thank you for being with us, and I hope the video lived up to your expectations. Did it? Give us a wave. Cool. Thank you very much. Okay, so we're going to move on because obviously a lot of entrepreneurs have been involved in this program over the 10-year period, and a new home has been found, a digital home for the entrepreneur program, which is at theentrepreneur.net.za. Please have a look at that because it features many of the entrepreneurs, people who have been part of this program over a long period of time. And in fact, let's have a quick look at that. This video has been put together by Wordsmith Marketing and the North Coast Courier, all part of the Wordsmith Group. And we're very grateful. They've, in fact, put all these videos together for us today. And this particular one that we're about to see right now is about the new digital home of the Entrepreneur program. So the entrepreneur.net.za, which is a showcase and features businesses that have been involved. Thank you very much to the Wordsmith Group for these videos that have given us insights into the program in general. So if we look at a program like this, many people have given an enormous amount of time, talent, and energy over the years. When I think of those, myself included, I was part of the program, have been for the whole 10 years that it's been on, and I come from a marketing and advertising background and have spent some time with various entrepreneurs and really have made some good friends, some of whom I'm still in contact with after all this time. You meet new people, you witness businesses coming into shape and beginning to take shape. You meet with people who've got great ideas and want to take these ideas out there into the marketplace and make them work as a business. This is, as you know, so important for the economy of South Africa, particularly now as we come out of this very hard year of 2020, which must have given many businesses a good hard knock. We're trying to pick up the pieces and come back and fight our way back to where we need to be. Critically important. So a very big shout out and a very big thank you goes to all those people, mentors, advisors, facilitators, trainers, coaches, people who've been part of this program over the past 10 years. In the last year, in fact, we have engaged as a program with Gibbs Business School, top business school in Africa, to get their input, their advice, and in fact, to follow our own message, which is to take ourselves to new heights. And it's been fantastic to have Gibbs taking part, participating, running the master classes for this group of entrepreneurs. So let's just take a quick look at a video and get a bit of a picture of Gibbs and what has been going on with Gibbs during this year.
We're the business school attached to the University of Pretoria. We are internationally accredited, so that's something that we're very proud of. We have been accredited by some of the leading international bodies that look at academic programs, and so we are proudly the leading business school on the continent. Gloria, who ran the first session, is a certified coach. She works a lot on issues of entrepreneurial mindset, and she's also a key facilitator in our Walmart program. Manoj is lead faculty at Gibbs on innovation and design. It's his passion to look at how to apply innovation to business problems, and so he'll lead your session on innovation and creativity. Buyani, we work a lot with. He is a strong strategist, and so we thought that he would be best placed to run your session on negotiation and decision making. He's also a leadership expert, works a lot on change management and transformation, and employee engagement. Wei Ling is a digital marketing and digital branding expert. So her areas of expertise relate to digital business, product design. She's very keen on user experience and brand management. And we've worked with Wei Ling most recently on a social entrepreneurs program, but infusing the program with a digital kind of angle. The sessions are very practical. We're looking at how we can give you tools and tips and techniques. And so a lot of this is not about theory, but rather about the application of the content that we're wanting to impart and that we're wanting to work with you on.
A very big thank you to Gibbs for their input, taking us to new levels of academic exploration and understanding of this very, very important topic that we're looking at this morning of entrepreneurship and building a business. The academic component of the program, in fact, initially came from MIT in the USA and the University of KZN based in Durban. It's now an accredited short course with UKZN. And next year, as we run back to the normal program, hopefully, it will be that program that has been rolled out and explored with MIT and UKZN over the years, and also now with this additional insight and different levels of exploration from Gibbs. So thank you very much for that. We're going to move on now to the main part of our program, which of course is looking at our panel. So we have some people here who are going to join me, there they are, on the panel this morning, and I'd like to welcome and introduce each of them. I'll start with Linton Peters, simply because I happen to have his name up first on the piece of paper in front of me. And Linton is the founder of One Cart. That's a great name. It kind of says already what that is. Obviously, online shopping. And he's been part of the movement that's changed the way people do shopping and the way they see retail. So we'll hear a little bit more from Linton, who numbers amongst his clients top people like Woolworths, Macro, Pick n Pay, Food Lovers Market, etc. And then welcome also to David Torr, who is the other gentleman there. Thank you, David, for being with us. So I believe that David made his first million when he was 24 years old. Well, that sounds pretty cool to me, and we'll ask him a little bit about that. Now we're a few years later. I think he's about 30 or so now. And he has developed, of course, You Cook, beginning in a garage in Cape Town. So it's the classic sort of entrepreneur story. And their first delivery was 24 boxes, I believe, and now tens of thousands of deliveries are happening all over the place. They have warehouses, Johannesburg and Cape Town, and a very large national team. So a big welcome to David. And then the lady on the panel, the good-looking person on the panel up there is Sonto Poe. I hope I've said that right, Sonto Poe.
Correct.
And cool. She's taken hold of the South African hair industry by its very roots, I believe, and has stood it on its head, if you'll excuse those puns. So her frustrations with bad service, bad products, has motivated her to develop a natural hair and body care range, which she has named Native Child. So, Sonto, a very big welcome to you and to you gentlemen as well. So good to have you with us, and we're just going to have a bit of a conversation here. So the mics are pretty well open. I'm going to come up with a couple of questions that hopefully will help us get insight into what entrepreneurship and small business is all about. That's what we're looking for out of this program today, is some insights. So first question I'd like to put to our panel this morning is, how did you get your idea or your concept for your business? Where does this come from? Where does the concept for a business originate? Speak obviously from your own personal experience. Who would like to kick off with an answer to that question? If you want to just put your hand up, it might be good, because then I'll know what people are doing. Just put your hand up and then you can go.
All right. So I'll start. For me, I've always been passionate about hair from a very young age, having learned to braid and, my own hair. And I was doing that as a teenager for extra money, weekends. And so I think the frustration for me was seeing just the quality of products that were on the market. And when I did a little bit of digging, finding out that they contribute towards certain cancers. And so I took it upon myself to start this business for the masses. So for me, because usually, good quality products are always available, for the middle to upper class. So for me, I wanted to sort of like bridge that gap. And having been frustrated with products that were not working. So that's how Native Child was born. It was out of a desperate need of products that work, as well as good quality products which were not available on the market.
That's fantastic. So, Sonto, basically your situation started with a very personal experience, which was the personal experience of dissatisfaction in relation to the whole hair care industry. So I read somewhere a story saying that when you were 8 years old, you had your hair braided and it was so tight you couldn't sleep for about 3 weeks or something like that.
3 days. 3 days.
3 days. Right?
3 days. Yes. I mean, that's common for all little girls. When they pull their hair, it pulls so tight that you literally cannot sleep. You sleep with pillows, with your head supported by pillows. And for me, I think that was the catalyst to this hair journey that we call it. Because then after that, I told my mother at the age of 8, I never want to go to a hair salon. Don't bring anyone here. I'll do my own hair. She laughed, but she didn't realize my determination. So I sat week after week trying to plait my own hair, going to school and kids laughing at me with crooked lines. But I didn't care. Eventually I got it right. So that for me was the beginning step of my journey.
It's fantastic. So there are actually two things. You're talking about product and you're talking about customer service in a way. Because one of the things that I find extraordinary is that you're out there having something done, and very often the person doing it actually has the attitude of they're doing you a favor. I'm doing you a favor to cut your hair or plait your hair or make your hair very nice. Whereas in fact, you are the customer and you have the right to have that done the way you want it, to your own comfort and to look good.
Correct. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's difficult. I think with our type of hair, it mats a lot. So it's way more, I mean, you have to be extra careful. and I just found myself being frustrated. I think I can count, with my hands, how many times I've been to a hair salon. So I've actually, for most of my life, have done my own hair for that very reason, where you tell somebody to do something, and then when you look at it, you're like, what? This is not what I paid for. So for me, I think that my personal experience with hair, it's something very personal, and it grew over time. Like I say, I've been an entrepreneur since being a teenager. So eventually, once I got out there, got working, I just want to point out for it's okay to take recourse, because at the time I felt like this was something extra I was doing. I then went to study quantity surveying, so I was in the engineering field. I didn't really find satisfaction there, and I came back to what I really do love, which is hair and body care. So sometimes, you take one thing and it leads you to something else, and maybe you have to go back to the original, your first love, and that's how it played out for me.
That's a good piece of input there, Santo. Thank you, because I think that happens with people. In fact, so many people, as they say, go to their graves having lived a rather desperate life, but they just keep going and don't do the things they really want to do. And I'd like to explore that a little bit more in the conversation. Just to mention very quickly, relating to hair, everybody has a feeling about their own hair. I'm an old guy with graying hair, but also I like to go to the hairdresser and feel that when I leave there, it's a good experience, that he's cut my hair nicely. And in fact, I had my hair cut a couple of days ago. I'm quite sure you can all see how good it's looking. And as I left the hairdresser, he handed me a small bottle of shampoo as a gift, as a giveaway, a promotional gift. And I thought, that is a really cool idea. I've never had that before. I finished in the chair. He said, thanks very much. And he said, oh, by the way, this is for you. Well, you know where I'm going back for my next haircuts. I'm going back to the same guy for that reason. So I'd like to move to the other two panelists. Maybe David, you could share a little bit along the lines of what we've been talking about with Santo, where this kicked off for you. How did you get an idea? Where did the concept come from?
Yeah, sure. I guess my kind of, entrepreneurial journey was kind of like semi-unorthodox in that I don't have any kind of like tertiary education, and kind of came, just out of high school, dropped out of university, and I was, I guess, kind of wandering and kind of traveling, predominantly Southeast Asia for kind of the better part of 2 years. And I think really what kind of catalyzed or triggered this journey for me was, really just kind of hitting rock bottom, if I'm going to be absolutely honest. I got back from Southeast Asia with, few prospects. I was waitering at the time, and I remember serving my friend a hamburger, and he had just finished his kind of accounting degree. I guess I kind of felt like I needed to kind of make something of myself. And at the time, I had a huge myriad of interests. And I think that's something that I guess a lot of kind of millennials have coming out of, the tertiary education is they're not necessarily complete. They don't necessarily feel like there's one particular direction that they're hyper interested in. And I never felt like that. I was always good academically. In fact, I never had a problem, kind of there. And even generalist kind of business in the traditional way in which it was taught didn't necessarily feel like it was giving me the tools that were going to equip me for, what I wanted to do. And I guess, again, I think insight and passion, I was always hyper interested in food. That was always something that I was really, really kind of passionate and interested in. And, that I guess, kind of compounded with insight into this e-commerce environment. There was Yappy Chef that was doing kind of relatively well at that time, selling kind of cooking utensils, which was a strange, I suppose, a little bit of an anomaly within that e-commerce environment, considering the fact that it was such an insular industry at that time. And Woolworths was kind of, doing well, even though it was kind of, it was a recessive period economically. So I thought this idea of, a recipe book that kind of manifested the ingredients, might work. And the model had historically done very well abroad. And really then, just very, very, fruitlessly grinded it out for the first kind of 1 to 2 years, as said, in a garage just out of Newlands, and managed to, I guess, kind of luckily stumble upon a set of investors that were kind of crazy enough to back me, because I didn't exactly have reputation that was worth backing at that time. Simultaneously managed to get 1 or 2 other projects off the ground at the same time. So I've got a specialist kind of real estate investment vehicle that focuses on student accommodation called Solace. And then I also started a kind of events business as well at the same. And you know, all 3 businesses are kind of still alive and still kicking. And really, I think what's, you know, what's more important than anything else is kind of like, you know, determination, kind of, you know, true grit, and really kind of, you know, following through with things. Because I think often failure is not the byproduct of an idea that's you know, not fantastic. It's often just the byproduct of acknowledging that you have failed, because, you know, you're continuously learning as you know, as kind of time ticks over, and you're gonna improve in an entrepreneurial environment faster than you'll improve in any other space. You're going to learn faster because you're going to be dealing with you know, abstract and sometimes incredibly encumbering challenges. So I guess that's my entrepreneurial take on, you know.
Okay, well, that's very exciting, David. And you said a mouthful there, that's for sure. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I'd really quite like to, you've obviously got a very fast mind, and it comes tumbling out of your mouth, which is cool. And but I'd like to unpack a few of those things, because I think one of them is so applicable. The first thing you said, you got out of high school, you wanted to go traveling, you didn't get into the whole tertiary education thing. But that is the reality for many, many young South Africans today. In fact, they can't afford the tertiary. So they come out of high school, what do? And, you know, I think it's fantastic that someone like yourself can show, well, you know, dig around there, find out what's going on, get some ideas. And I think it is a millennial thing. It's a young thing. It's a way of looking at life. It's saying we don't have to follow the usual traditional levels, as it were, but just, you know, go out there and see what's going on, look around. So personally, I find that very inspiring on behalf of young people. I'm not one of them anymore, but young people there who need to say there is something more to life than this horrendous unemployment situation we have in this country. So I think that's very cool. You know, I wanted to unpack a couple of things. I'll come back to them, because I think very often we're looking at a couple of things. The one is what sets you on fire, as Sonto was showing in terms of her experience and the reality of her hair and wanting to look a certain way. But another thing might be, well, what does the market need? And when those two come together, there's the potential for success in business. So we're going to go over to Linton very quickly and just ask him to give us a little bit of his story in terms of that question. What was it that inspired you, Linton, or how did you move into your business and begin to grow it from the idea? Where did the idea come from, Linton?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. So my story is a bit different. So I was actually in corporate for about 10 years before I decided to take the plunge into entrepreneurship. I was living in Singapore at the time, and literally the idea came out of a personal need. So what actually happened was I used to do grocery shopping, and you do it on a daily basis or a weekly basis, and you go to the mall, you shop from multiple stores, you spend a few hours, and what actually happened with me was that I just thought, there could be a different way of doing this. So, but at the time, a different way of shopping, instead of shopping at multiple stores and going to the mall. So at the time I was actually in corporate, quite promising in corporate. And I actually decided I moved back to South Africa, and the idea just didn't leave me alone. So while I was in corporate, I used to do the sort of 9 to 5 or 9 to 6, and then come home and spend the next 6 hours from like 7 to 1, developing the solution for this passion. And it literally started off as that. It was just an idea, can we allow consumers to shop online the way they would shop offline. And that's how it started. So it was just the idea. We began developing a prototype. Everything started for the first year and a half in my apartment, just developing the concept, developing the prototype, doing some market research, going to people, having a lot of people saying no. And eventually we developed the prototype, and just like David, we found an investor that was crazy enough to back us and back the idea. And then we started with sort of OneCart, and it's been a few years since, and we just sort of stuck it out in the first couple of years. Went through the motions. We started growing, learning, and everything started taking off from there, literally.
So I like what you were saying there, Linton, about, I think your words were, you had an idea which wouldn't let go. So I think that's very cool, is that we need to be open to those ideas that keep coming up. They keep coming back. They're there in your mind somewhere. Sometimes you have to call them from the back of your brain to the front of your brain, but they won't let go. I think that's a very cool statement you made there. And the other thing that strikes me, that what you say, is that you took the time. So you say you were in corporate. Were you dying in corporate, Linton? It doesn't sound like it. Sounds like you were going okay in corporate. A lot of people are dying in corporate and have got ideas for something else. But you say you took the time. So between 7 and 1, there's like a 4, 5, 6 hour period of your life when you could have been in bed sleeping or watching television, then in fact you were developing your business.
Yeah. So in corporate, I was doing quite well. But I just took the decision that, I couldn't do this for the next sort of 20 years of my life. And when you have a passion and when you have an idea that won't let go, obviously what you have to do is come back and do your market research. And, what we found was that, while there were concepts overseas and concepts that were doing well, there wasn't, one in South Africa. And because of this, the idea just stuck. Could we actually develop it? And I think it was sort of the risk of saying, if I don't develop it, or if I don't try to develop it, how would I feel if I saw someone else do it, and if I don't take that risk? So would I regret it? And I think it was that sort of thing that just spurred us on to take the time and do this, and spend sort of the crazy hours and not sleeping and just having this passion for it. And and I think that's the thing. Once you have an idea, it's about starting, and then as the other panelists mentioned, it's about not letting go and just grinding through and believing that you can actually do this and see it through.
So that sounds great to me. I'd like to explore that a little bit with the other panelists as well. That hanging in there, that just doing the hard yards, doing the 7 till 1 in the morning. I mean, that must get pretty tiring, don't you think? Oh, it'd just be so much easier to go and try and get a normal job somewhere. What are the hard yards? What are the rewards? What are the hard times? Any comments on that? Sonto, what would you think about that?
Yeah, man, there's a lot. I need to think of one. I mean, for me, I didn't start earning a salary until a year later. So fortunately, I had kept some reserves because I knew that you're not necessarily gonna take money out of the business initially. So that was tough right at the beginning. And I was fortunate enough to have support from my husband. But it meant I was doing all that work knowing that the payoff will be later and not immediate. There are many others, I was entering a space that I knew nothing of. You know, it's one thing to have a love of hair, but it's another to get into manufacturing, because I wanted to do that myself. I didn't want to outsource it, so I went back to school and learned the skill, you know, because I felt like I needed control. So I literally went in blind, not really knowing and not having someone to kind of take me by the hand and go through. So that was hard. I had to figure out a lot of things on my own, including how to market effectively, you know, because I didn't have a huge marketing budget. So I used social media. And back then, 2015, it wasn't as big as it is now. I'm talking about Instagram here. And that's really what I kind of did to help the business grow. So that was painful. You spend a lot of hours doing research, figuring things out. Oh, you could do this better and that better. So there are many things. And of course, hiring of staff or the right staff. You learn along the way the best way to do the hiring and not the great, you know. And, you know, there are many lessons, I think, that you learn as an entrepreneur. But I love this spirit of an entrepreneur. It's just one more thing to learn. It's not, oh, this is such a pain, I'm going back to working full time. Because I also came from a corporate environment. So for me, it's just, okay, we need to figure this out and we keep moving. So yeah, I think for me, ultimately, your mind needs to be such that keep it rolling, just keep moving.
Sonto, is there like a turning point? I mean, you said for a year you earned nothing. You had the support of your husband. So I guess that's really, really important, is have someone who says to you, keep going, just keep doing it. Was there a turning point? I mean, do you recall a certain point when you thought, okay, I think we're going in the right direction here? And what was that turning point? Did you suddenly get more followers on social media, or, you know, how did the turning point happen?
It happens, I think, in stages. So like you say, you know, all of a sudden you move from like 500 and you go, wait, how did we get to 5,000? We're doing something. And then I think the biggest one, even though there were many along the way, I think the biggest one was when we got into one of the national retailers. That's when I thought, okay, we're now moving in the right direction. And once one got us in, everybody else wanted us in. So, you know, you work to a certain level, and once people sort of like recognize and see the numbers, it's easier for those doors to kind of open.
Yeah. So you were learning a lot on your own. I mean, you were doing a lot of research, as you put it. Obviously, we have this exceptional thing of Google and, you know, various ways that we can find out things that we could never find out years back. So you taught yourself. Where else was your support in terms of your developing your business?
So I did teach myself. I still do. I also, like the other panelists, for me, I was approached by an investor, and who saw what we were doing in the industry. They felt like we're disrupting the industry. All the big conglomerates were moving one way, and here our message was quite different. We're encouraging people to go natural, to move away from chemicals, and they were seeing what was happening, and they approached us to say, just in case you need some funding, we are here. And so I was so grateful for that opportunity. We brought them on board, and they kind of assisted us with the human resource element, where they brought highly skilled people to kind of help with the business side of the overall business. And so that was, I mean, a prayer answered, because I didn't actually go searching for them. So that helped us in terms of growth. And yeah, I think support came from family, it came from friends, and even the customers, because I felt like we came into the market when they were ready for something different. You know, people had been doing things a certain way for so long, and you know, the era of the millennials, it's not the same customers. So you have to be able to function through different markets. This is a completely new era, is what I can say it. And so we came in right on time.
I find that interesting, and also, of course, the thing to be aware of trends. There seem to be two things here, and maybe someone can comment. David, maybe you'd like to comment on this, but it seems to me there are a couple of trends. The one is knowing what you need to do. The one is kind of like formal business knowledge, as it were, and getting to know stuff, which I suppose when you're an entrepreneur, you're just thinking on your feet all the time. You've got to teach yourself and get people to help you. But the other is just random things that happen. I mean, one of I forget the author who it is now, but I remember reading a book where he talked about some successes are random happenings. They just happen. So you've got to be on the lookout for those random happenings and things that will support you. I mean, I'm assuming that Linton, your business has had quite a lot of support by the lockdown that we've been experiencing in the past year, because online has just grown exponentially. And even with something like hair, Sonto, I think of Miss Universe, with completely natural hair. And she must have done a massive amount for the whole concept of natural hair amongst young Black women. Yeah. Sorry, David, I don't know if that was a question or not.
So, I mean, I think it's an interesting point around, so like learned acumen versus kind of learning on the fly. And I guess the kind of, the importance of kind of both. And I think they do fundamentally have it's incredibly, and I think it's a natural unfolding of this kind of like of most entrepreneurial journeys, is you come in with a very particular set of skills. In my case, I had, kind of almost no skills kind of off the bat. I just had, I guess kind of foolhardy ambition and keen interest, lots of kind of enthusiasm to learn. And I really, really did try hard to do that. But I think, what's worth speaking to is often what you find in the kind of early stages of a business is that you focus on the kind of path of least resistance. You focus on like one very particular, I guess, kind of avenue of progress. In our case, that was, I guess, finding a way to kind of sell this idea that had never really been sold kind of prolifically before. And so all of our kind of attention and efforts were really kind of all geared around marketing. And, for Linton, that particular problem might have been, getting the right logistics solution. And all of his efforts were kind of geared around that particular solution. And it's almost like that's your spear point. That's, finding that pressure point that's going to release value and really, really hammering down on that and focusing on it. And in an ideal world, having the kind of acumen and required kind of capability to kind of get that right initially, I think is really important. And then as you break through, suddenly, there's all like, I think, then you've got the ability to start bringing other people on board. And when you can start doing that, I think that's the transitional stage. The transitional step is when suddenly you have someone that is managing marketing for you. Suddenly you have someone that is managing operations for you. And it all just seems that much more, your kind of lofty ambitions seem that much more attainable, because you can actually take a step back for the first time and actually start speculating on charting the course and taking that next kind of strategic step. And I think every entrepreneur or every organization has that particular kind of pressure point or that particular path that is absolutely critical to follow. And I think often businesses kind of land themselves in the quagmires of, I guess, kind of stagnance, because they haven't found what that path of least resistance is. What is that single initial kind of focal point that's going to allow you to progress? And again, I think, having the ability kind of functionally, I guess off the bat, if you're a marketing business and your critical function in the beginning is marketing, well, then you're in a good place, Yeah.
So just to talk about that very quickly, David, thank you. So you've gone a little bit into two areas that I was wanting to explore quickly, which was marketing and advertising, and the other was staff. So you're saying, you don't do it all on your own. At some point, you get someone who helps you carry that burden. So how do we do this?
Yeah.
Because staffing, it seems to be, is critical and difficult.
I think it's absolutely everything. I think it's literally the difference between, a company is legitimately just a kind of a congregation of people, right? I mean, specifically in the early stages of a business when the founding team touches absolutely everything. You can wear an operations hat, but actually you end up doing a lot of the finance, and you end up doing a lot of the marketing, and you end up doing a lot of everything. So, your immediate nucleus of individuals that you bring on board to assist you facilitate growth within, whichever idea you've chosen, I think is in my opinion, probably the most important thing outside of, having an idea that actually has kind of, market fit and has the, kind of, I guess, the robustness to kind of progress into the future. Your initial team, and if there was any kind of advice that I could give to anyone that's starting a business, is really don't just take the first person that is interested in your idea and say, well, there we go, and I think everyone, we all we get excited and someone else kind of shares that enthusiasm, and often that's enough to catalyze an agreeable partnership, which is in many ways ridiculous, because actually what you need is to seriously think about the skill sets and capabilities that you have as an entrepreneur, and what are your blind spots, openly and honestly looking at yourself and saying, what am I really not good at, and what are the kind of gaping functional holes that sit in this kind of, I guess, in this capacity bucket. If this idea needs to do all these particular things in order to really make a success of it, who do I need to bring on board that's going to fulfill those, and really spend the time, trying to find that person. Because if you find a fantastic team off the bat, your chances of success are kind of 10x. It really is absolutely everything, specifically when it's you and two other people.
Yeah, so that is fantastic advice to any entrepreneurs, or to any business actually, is getting the right people around you, getting the right team. What do you do when you got the wrong people, David? What happens when you got a wrong person?
I'm probably the wrong person to ask that. I think I've dismissed one person we've got about 200 people now in the business, and I think I've asked one person to leave, and I actually ended up rehiring them for an alternative project about 2 to 3 weeks later. So unfortunately, that management kind of faculty is not something that I'm actually very, very I guess kind of capable with. And I've actually I'm speaking from the organization has kind of grown through my direct friendship circle, and that's in some case a bit of a lucky packet. Sometimes there's been, we've had great people that have come on board kind of just naturally, and other times we've made absolutely terrible errors. So I can't actually answer that question, and I feel like maybe Linton or Asante better take a stab at that one, because I haven't really made a success of it.
So let's talk people very quickly. Then I'm going to talk marketing, and then we're done. So just quickly talking people. Linton, do you want to take up that baton from David? Give us your comments and some insights for entrepreneurs into, as your business grows and you're building that congregation. I love that word, a congregation of people, this team. What's your take on that?
Yeah, so I completely echo what David said. I think your team is probably the most important thing apart from your idea. So initially, as the panelists mentioned, it was that as an entrepreneur, you're going to do everything on your own. I think one of the big things about being an entrepreneur is, being self-aware. So you know what your strengths are, but then you also know what your weaknesses are. And I think it's very important to realize that early on, and then, start building a team around that. So from my perspective, as an example, I know what my strengths are. It's whether it's tech or strategy and innovation, and I know what my weaknesses are, which is sort of that operational portion of it. So the first part of my journey was actually finding a co-founder that that would complement my skills, or and feed on my weaknesses. And I think that was one of the biggest parts of my journey, was finding the right sort of partner or business partner to go on this journey with me. And team is especially important because in certain businesses you have marketing, logistics, tech, and having the right team means everything. I have I've had the unfortunate opportunity to where I have sort of dismissed a few people sort of early on. And I think, it was about the fact that, I was just building this business, and we had people, like David said, we had people that were interested in what we were doing. And so we brought them on board. But it was good for a certain phase, but it wasn't good for the long journey. And unfortunately, sometimes you have to realize that. And look, it's just a decision you have to make. It's nothing personal. It's all about the business, and it's all about taking it forward. And ultimately, when you have investors, you have shareholders. These are things that as a business owner, you have to do at some point.
So I guess that, to take people on for a particular project, there's a lot of value in that. Like, you take people on for particular skills for a particular project, and then you release them. Maybe that kind of way of working will become more and more the norm in business and building business. The other thing, of course, is culture. Do they fit? So at the end of the day, you're asking the question, does this person fit? And maybe somewhere down the track, you find actually they don't really fit. So then you deal with that. Did you want to make a comment on this, Sonto, in terms of people? Anything that you'd like to add into the pot?
I actually learned this lesson the hard way, where a person will say, I have a cousin who's been looking for work for the past 2 years. Won't you please hire them? And I'm like, we do actually need someone for fulfillment. Bring them on. Sounds like a good idea. You talk, they seem okay. You bring them on, and then you realize bad decision. So now I've learned that you literally have to employ people based on skills, and not necessarily based on their needs to find employment. There's a difference. For me, I think it's been a hard lesson, because just like the other panelists, I've also had to let some people go over time, and it's either they left or I had to let them go. Just the relationship wasn't working. So I think it's a hard lesson. Now I've decided, let me let the experts do the hiring. So whenever there's a need, I just call the recruitment agent that we use and say, please find the following people. I think it's easier that way, so that I can focus on other things. And I found that the caliber of people that tend to come through will be much better than just, someone just saying, hey, I just need a job, and they don't really have the skills. Because also the time to train people, whether or not they will be trainable, it's something you'll only find once they're inside. So it just becomes a little bit difficult.
Thank you. Okay. David, did you have a comment there? I saw you about to say something.
I do. So guys, talking about tough conversations, I actually have to jump onto another call, because I know, in a kind of quintessential sense, I guess, summarizing the entrepreneur's experience, this is a great example of it. I've got an executive call with Clicks right now, which is literally something that I cannot miss. So I must love and leave you all. And I just want to kind of, first and foremost say thank you both to Linton and Sonto. It's been a fantastic conversation, incredibly inspiring. I think that these types of conversations are so kind of relevant, and they really, really do allow us to kind of access insight. So I think, it's just great for people that have had very, very different kind of entrepreneurial experiences to come together and kind of just chat through them. So I hope we get to do this again soon. Chris, thank you so much as well. I really, really appreciate, kind of being here, and thank you so much for having me. And I hope to see you all soon.
Thank you very much for your time, David. We are deeply offended that Clicks is more important than us, but what can you do? Business is business. But thank you very much. It's been great to have you on the call. I'm going to continue a little bit with the other two, but hope we'll see you again.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Bye.
Thanks a lot. Thank you. So can we just talk marketing and advertising quickly, guys, and then we're going to finish off the call. I don't know if we can take questions from any of the other people who are on the call, and I would love it if we could, but Andrew, who is our technical whiz kid, Andrew and Neil. Oh, okay. It seems we can't take any questions. Although if a question came via Quibus, could you relay that to me, Andrew? Yeah, let's just see, because we'll just finish this up, and then if there are any other quick questions, we'll finish off. So can I talk to Linton and Sonto about marketing and advertising? So, marketing and advertising has changed so dramatically in the last few years, as we know, mainly because of social media. So in fact, there's a lot of free advertising you can do. But essentially, marketing and advertising is show and tell. It's like show the people out there what you've got and tell them what it will do for them. Would you make a comment on what marketing and advertising has meant for you guys, how you've done it, and what has worked for you?
Linton, do you want to start?
Yeah, sure. I'll start. So I think in my type of business with e-commerce, marketing is everything. So when we started the business, it was in early 2018, it was literally marketing to. We just started in Sandton, and it was literally marketing to people around us. The approach that we took was primarily digital. It was sort of an integrated approach. So we used social media. We started building our social media presence to create awareness. Because I think in the digital journey, before a consumer starts to trust you, what you have to do is become trustable. So you have to make them aware of your product, then convert them into purchasing. So in order to do that, what you have to do is sort of create a complete digital marketing campaign. And we did this through social media, which is primarily Instagram and Facebook, and then through Google, Facebook ads. And then, as people were going around on the different platforms, they started seeing us. And then the third part of it was that we started doing, which really kicked off our journey, was doing sort of influencer campaigns and PR. So putting ourselves out there, becoming credible, having influencers, talk about our product. And then once they start talking about your product, I think marketing is great, but then, you have to deliver on the service. That's what we had to do. And that's essentially how we started. And we started in a small suburb in just around Sandton. And, 2 years later, we're in 3 of the big provinces in all the major metros. But essentially, our campaign was completely integrated.
Sure. That's fantastic. Thank you very much, Linton. Can you add to that, Sonto, any thoughts on the marketing, particularly in relation to social media, maybe, and any other comments along the lines Linton has shared with us in relation to marketing and advertising?
Pretty much followed the same roadmap. I think as a small company, unless you have funding, you're not going to have, money for billboards, for TV, for radio. We pretty much followed the same roadmap where we built a social media profile. I would give away products for free for people to try, and once they found that they were working, to exchange that for them to talk about us. So that was one of the things that we used to do, where we give people, say, hey, try this. If you like it, please make sure that you tell people about it. And I still find, you can still advertise on social media, but people still want sort of like validation from people that they know. Have you used this, and how have you found it? Word of mouth to me still is number one, because when you have upset customers or you promise them something and you don't deliver on the promise, you are unlikely to influence new customers, because if one has had a bad experience, they'll say, oh no, don't even bother. So yeah, social media marketing. We also do the influencer marketing, where we give people with a huge following so that they can, show, because people are looking at them, more eyes than we do. But at the end of the day, we still need to sell a product. We still need to come through on service. And I think that's where we hone down, is that we make sure that our service stays on top, so that once a person buys, they can then come back and they can then recommend.
Yeah, fantastic. So a very clear message there. Get your name known in whatever way you can, but then provide the service. Because at the end of the day, you're absolutely right. I love your word validation, Sonto. You know, it has to be validated. You can say what you like. And of course, lots of people do on social media and make all sorts of promises. But at the end of the day, you have to validate what you are saying with your mouth. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we'll draw that to a close. I'd like to try and summarize here, but I've written so many points all over my pieces of paper, I can't see what's going on, to be quite honest, and my writing's not so good to start with. But if we look at some of the things that have come up, don't let go of the idea. If you've got an idea, make it work. Do the hard yards. Put in the 7 in the evening till 1 o'clock in the morning that Linton was talking about. Do the work. Teach yourself, as Sonto was saying. You know, you have to Google, you have to research, you're on your own, but then look for the right support. And as David was saying, build that congregation of people, that team of people around you who share your vision and who share your desire to be really good at what you do, and let them help you to do that. So thank you very much indeed to Linton and Sonto for being with us, and for David, and for your contribution. It's been absolutely fantastic, guys. And I'm sure that the entrepreneurs on the line here would also have been making a lot of notes on the bits of wisdom and insight that you shared with us. So thank you for your time. It is very much appreciated. I don't know if there are any other questions that we can bring in. Was there anything, Andrew, or do we need to wrap it up? Yes. No, I can't actually. Can you just give them to me, Andrew? Can the group hear you, Andrew? Yeah, quickly read it again if you would. Okay, any thoughts on investment or self-funding to our panelists? Because growth obviously can come from investment from outside. Should one be constantly seeking that? Or, you know, you seek to make this a self-funding endeavor until maybe you go public, whatever it might be. Any thoughts? Linton?
Yeah, sure. So I think it really depends on your business. For me, I was in e-commerce, right? So I knew that at some point I would need funding in order to do marketing, in order to scale the business and scale the operation. I think there's different points in which you can raise funding. So essentially, your funding goes through various stages. You have angel funding, which comes at, you know, when you just have an idea and you literally have an angel that comes in and invests in your business. Or seed funding is generally when you have a prototype and then, you want to then take it to market and then scale. And then you have sort of venture capital. So it depends on the stage of the business. For me, my advice would be, depending on where you are, I would say if you can go as far as possible, self-funded. So, for example, if it means at least starting up and then getting your operation going, I think that if you do it at a later stage, you'll come in. Investors would potentially come in. Potentially fund more, but then take less equity. And I think that's important because as an entrepreneur, you want to have control of your business. And of course, this is your idea and your passion. But in the same breath, I would say that, in order to scale and, depending on your ambition, so depending on the different type of business, if you believe in this business and you want to scale it, then I would say, go for funding, because sometimes, you can have 100% of the business and it's worth 100 Rand, but then an investor could come in, help you to scale the business, help you to formalize the business in terms of operations, and you maybe have 70% of the business, but the business is worth 1,000 Rand. So, that's sort of my advice. Do it as far as you can, but then if you want to scale and you can't do it on your own, then go for investment.
Thanks very much, Linton. I must say I like the idea of angel funding. I'm going to get myself one of them angels. Sounds like a good idea. So we'll go to the other question, and then to finish off, unless Sonto, you wanted to add to that investing question?
Yeah, actually, I echo the same sentiments as Linton. There's really no need to get funding if there's no need to get funding. If you can, unless it's a scalable business, it's a business that you want to, everywhere in SA, Africa, the world, then it makes sense at some point to get funding. Otherwise, not all businesses need funding.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you. Very nice. Nice point. Last question from Andrew. Andrew, would you read the question to the panel? Wow, entrepreneurial tricks to keep your focus in a day-to-day busy schedule. A quick answer from Sonto. What about entrepreneurial tricks to help you keep focus, Sonto?
Write everything down. It's
Good
that
one.
simple.
Good one. Write everything down.
For me,
Okay.
otherwise you lose track of where you are, what you're supposed to do, what the priorities for the day were. So I always just at the beginning of the day jot everything down that's important, and then I just highlight priorities, and then start
Excellent.
with those, and then everything else follows.
So write everything down, or get one of them angels to walk along next to you writing everything down. That's also an option. Yeah, Clinton, what do you think? A final thought there on tricks to help you focus.
Yeah, I think I agree with Sonto. At the beginning of the day or the end of the previous day, write everything down, so you know what your tasks are for the next day. What I like to do is have my most important meetings in the morning when I'm fresh, just so that I can, get it done with, know that that's done. And then, in the afternoon, I focus on my teams and, everything that we need to do internally. And that, then I can just, have my time to focus on strategy and the business. And I think the one thing I want to say, and I know that we have to go, is that, you have to find a balance, because as an entrepreneur, you are doing this 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. There's no 9 to 5. So somehow you have to form a habit, and I think habits are important to be able to not burn out, and to able to take the long yard. So I think as much as it's about working hard and doing all the hours, it's also about finding other things and other interests in your life that keep you going. And I think that's very important, to find the balance.
Brilliant advice. I think that's a really nice point to end on. Thank you to Linton and to Sonto and to David in his absence. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being part of this. An enormous round of thanks goes to our partners, to people who've shared in building this program, to the Ilembe Chamber of Commerce, which has done this extraordinary thing with a little idea that is built into this fantastic entrepreneur program. And particularly, obviously, big congratulations to the top guns, the entrepreneurs of the decade. And thank you to all of you for being with us. And we will play out with those videos again in case you might have missed them if you came in a little bit late. Thank you for being with us.
This year is year 10 of the competition, and they're doing a celebratory anniversary edition. They've chosen 20 of us, and I'm so grateful to be one of them. And we've done these awesome masterclasses with Gibbs, and obviously we're doing marketing videos and a virtual exhibition. So the chamber is really, really great with giving small businesses exposure and also helping us build our skills.
Ilembe has helped me there. I know how to market my business. I know how to look after finance. I know a big thing, how to look after your customers, because today's customers, today's orders are tomorrow's business.
You know, I've been in Stanger for 28 years now, and each and every one of them, they have a place somewhere, there's a place in my heart for them. So absolutely very grateful to our customers. They are our friends, they are our family.
We've learned so much, and we've learned how to market ourselves, we've learned how to brand ourselves as well.
I entered the Entrepreneur of the Year competition in 2015 and came second, and that really helped us move the business forward.
I would just like to thank Ilembe actually for helping businesses like mine. They do a lot of work and encourage us.
I hold degrees in microbiology and cellular biology, and I couple my science background with my passion for pets and their nutritional needs to be able to extend your pet's life naturally.
At Lee Anchor Addiction Physiotherapy, we don't only look at the patient, but we look at the whole picture.
I remember at a time when I started this business, I was taking the toolbox on my head, going to the taxi to go to the client and do the job, then I come back. Then slowly, then I bought the van, then I start slow, until now. It was hard, but even now it's hard, but I'm trying.
If you have a passion and you have the tenacity and you have the willpower and the strength to continue, because there are downtimes, plenty downtimes. As an entrepreneur, it's not easy. But you just got to bite the bullet to keep going.
I think we businesses would have never made it without the support that we've received from these organizations like the CEDARS and especially the Supply Development Program, and of course the Ilembe Chamber, that really took action to make sure that the local business did not fail during this COVID lockdown.
For now, we are trying to stay alive. And we will start marketing again. And obviously, we are trying to stay as green as possible and protect the environment and grow and employ more people.
I think for me, where I am right now is I'm super chuffed that I've got a store that is 7 days a week and that we employ amazing women.
The Ilembe Chambers of Commerce has also been very helpful on my entrepreneurial journey.
Like they say, they take you to new heights. Even the logo they did exactly that. They took me to new heights.
business school attached to the University of Pretoria. We are internationally accredited, so that's something that we're very proud of. We have been accredited by some of the leading international bodies that look at academic programs, and so we are proudly the leading business school on the continent. Gloria, who ran the first session, is a certified coach. She works a lot on issues of entrepreneurial mindset, and she's also a key facilitator in our Walmart program. Manoj is lead faculty at GIBS on innovation and design. It's his passion to look at how to apply innovation to business problems, and so he'll lead your session on innovation and creativity. Uyani, we work a lot with. He is a strong strategist, and so we thought that he would be best placed to run your session on negotiation and decision making. He's also a leadership expert, works a lot on change management and transformation, and employee engagement. Wei Ling is a digital marketing and digital branding expert. So her areas of expertise relate to digital business, product design. She's very keen on user experience and brand management. And we've worked with Wei Ling most recently on a social entrepreneurs program, but infusing the program with a digital kind of angle. The sessions are very practical. We're looking at how we can give you tools and tips and techniques. And so a lot of this is not about theory, but rather about the application of the content that we're wanting to impart and that we're wanting to work with you on.